So in this video, we're going to take a look at how we can help to stop your slice, the dreaded slice. It's a horrible shot. It robs you a distance, missing fairways, always short in length off the tee, especially with the driver. But we're going to focus on today is obviously the grip, a very important part of it, isn't it? But if we can get that grip in that right position, and we're mainly going to focus on your lead hand, and if we can get that in the right position, we can completely transform how we control that club face and straighten your tee shots longer and straighter off the tee. Okay, there we go. Just start waving to that ball going out to that. There's that horrible big slice. Ball starts a little bit right, got tons of curvature, missed my fairway, it's high, it's spinny, it's weak. It's a horrible golf shot, robs you of complete distance, doesn't it? But what has really sort of caused it, and we're going to talk a lot about this lead hand. So as reference to right-handed golf, this is going to be your left hand. So, and how we position that on the golf club. Okay, so typically what I find from teaching a lot of golfers, different abilities, obviously I've seen a lot of slices in my time through coaching, is how they place this lead hand onto the handle of the golf club. And what I tend to see a lot of is the handle gets up into the palm of the golf club. That stops them from getting the hand over the grip of the golf club. So the thumb tends to sit directly down the middle of the golf club, if anything touched on the left hand side. And then what we see then as we look down is we only see like literally half a knuckle poking out on left hand there. So we're seeing very little knuckles. So talking about then how that can affect the club face. So if I'm in that sort of position, what we call and reference as being a weak grip, is my range of movement now with my hand to close the club face. There we go, is very little. That's as much as I can turn. I'm very awkward wrist position now on my left wrist there. So I can only close it a small amount, okay? If I'm to then turn it the other way, which would be opening, I can turn it probably twice, if not a little bit more than I could do in the closing. So clearly the handle or the hand will want to try and get into a more of that position, opens the club face. There's the sort of slice. So if you just look at those numbers I've just hit on that particular shot there. So you see my club path just a fraction up the left hand side, but not by much, but you can see my club face angle there is 3.3 degrees open, which is a positive number, so that's pointing to the right. So then my face to path relationship is 6.1 degrees open. Okay, so the ball, think about the ball typically will start where the face points. So the ball's going to start, face is sort of 3.3 open, so the ball's typically going to start right, and we can see that on the trace of the ball flight. And then because my face is 6.1 degrees open to my path, that's going to create a curvature. So if we look at the spin axis number there, positive 15.9. So positive again is where the ball will spin to the right, negative is where it spins to the left. So nearly 16 degrees spin axis, it's going to move to the right, as we can see on that ball tracer. Then all of a sudden then, all my distance completely robbed. Ball speed is dropped, my carry distance dropped, my smash factor has actually dropped as well. Okay, so we're understanding now how we get into weak grip position and what that can obviously affect the golf club to sort of do. So think about where we should now be holding this grip, especially with this left hand. So if we position it in a part where we get a little bit more out of the palm with the handle of the golf club, so it sits a little bit more diagonally, maybe from your index finger, should I say, all the way across, and maybe just into that little finger where it just starts to get into your palm. So it's small amounts into the palm there. Turn the hand a little bit more over, or it'll allow you to turn your hand a little bit more over. So all of a sudden this thumb is now sat a little bit off center to the right as you look down towards your hand. And then obviously what that then does is exposes a few more knuckles visible as you look down. So we should be seeing a good 2 full knuckles, if anything a slight bit of a third, so maybe 2.5 sort of knuckles. Sometimes we refer to it as where this sort of crease between the top of your forefinger and your thumb, and where that sort of points in reference to our shoulders and our head. And in an ideal world, that wants to point more up to your trail shoulder, so that right shoulder for the right-handed golfer. If that's in that position, we are typically more of a neutral point. Now, as going back to our experiment we did before when we could do that twisting now, so if I was to twist this and try and close the club face, you can see there now I've got more range of movement for the club to close. So it's giving me a chance on this downswing for this club to rotate and try and square up in time. Okay, if I try and open it from there, again, it's not as much as what I can do when I'm closing. So it's little opening, a little bit more chance of closing. Okay, so let's put that into practice. So I'm going to feel that grip position less in the palm. That thumb's going to be a little bit more over to the right hand side of the grip. I can now see a good 2, maybe 2.5 knuckles on that back of that left hand. Let's try and make the same sort of swing and see what happens. Okay, that's a nice solid hit and a very different ball flight to look at. Okay, so let's look at those numbers in comparison to what we've just done. So you see my club path has actually changed a little bit there, moved it a little bit more up the right hand side, which is quite interesting, isn't it? I think the more you sort of get the hand a little bit more over, how it can change your sort of shoulder positionings, you know, in terms of that relation. Weak left hand pulls that left shoulder sometimes down, pulls the right forward, can create obviously swing path issues. Typically when you see a slice, they'll tend to swing a little bit more up the left-hand side, face open, creates the slice, doesn't it? So actually my club path has just changed a little bit there from about, I think it was like 2 degrees minus to then 1 degree positive. So didn't really change anything as a feeling, but that just maybe that start position has changed my swing direction. But you can then see my face angle is minus 0.9. So I'm just short of 1 degree closed with my face angle. So you see now my face to path relationship, instead of being positive 6 degrees, and now a minus 2. So anything where it's minus, you're going to try and see a little bit of draw shape, as you can see on the shot tracer there. So also my smash goes up, my ball speed goes up, my carry goes up a little bit as well, and very much more penetrating ball flight. It's not that high right spinny sort of shot. Again, thinking about when you're playing in the wind can massively affect it, can't it? And the other thing to look at that as well is the spin axis. So we were positive nearly 15, I think we were on the last one. Positive 15, we're now on sort of a minus 5, so good 20 degree change of spin axis on that golf ball. Okay, now I appreciate there's lots of other things that can really affect and make you hit slides. Sometimes strike patterns in the heel can try and create the ball to move up that left to right and up the right hand side. Obviously swing direction, which we've just touched a little bit on there, can obviously influence things a little bit as well. But I think if you can get a control of your club face, and ultimately, you know, all right, you could be swinging up the left hand side, but if we can try and get the club face more dialed in towards your path, you're going to see less of that right curvature on the golf ball. You're going to see better ball speeds. You're going to see a stronger ball flight. All right, you might start seeing a little bit of a pull shot in the game, but it's much more penetrating. It's a little bit more satisfying to us as golfers to see a stronger ball flight, a little bit more distance as well. And you know what? If you start to see that pattern of it being maybe a little bit more pulling up the left as opposed to missing up the right, then it will probably then be a little bit more willing to move your path a bit more, what would to feel like a little bit more up the right hand side, and potentially getting into those little draw shapes as well. But first of all, you've got to really dial in is your club face, and that left hand grip is going to be one of the main important aspects to try and get that club face rotating. Okay, so if you are a slicer of the golf ball, definitely go through that little process. Just check that left hand grip, make some adjustments if you need to, have a little bit experiment. Yes, it will feel a little bit strange, as we know, changing a grip, it always never feels comfortable straight away, but a little bit of work on it, and hopefully that'll start to bed itself in. But post comments down below, let me know your thoughts. If you've tried that, let me know how you get on, or if that's something you're going to try next time at the range, and let me hear your feedback and your results of when you've done that. I'd love to hear your thoughts as always. Appreciate you watching the video. There'll be another little video just popping up there, so you can go and check that one out as well. Hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.